Alright, so this video is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be the more professional seeming, I have my script next to the camera and I'm reading off, talking directly to you guys. Mostly because I've been really busy lately, and I don't want to miss my one upload every 7 days, so we're just going to go with it. In this video, I'm just going to be reading off of my iPad. I'm going to be reading off an idea that I had for how would I write a comic book. I think sometimes when they do it and they want to adapt characters or give them a different twist storyline, sometimes it really falls flat, or sometimes it's completely not what the character would do. It's just uncharacteristic of them. So yeah, I figured I would kind of throw my hat in the ring. I know this is nothing professional or anything, just a thought I had. But the title of the comic would be Contingency Plan Alpha Omega. I say we start at the beginning of the alphabet and go to the end. If you guys like it, we'll do different characters. You can make suggestions. But this one is going to be Alfred Pennyworth, just because I think he's a little underappreciated. He's a great character in the Bat family. He just he gets overlooked because he's the guy in the chair. He's not necessarily in the field. So let's get into it. Let's see if we can just do this in one take and edit it down. Alfred Pennyworth isn't who the world believes him to be. To Gotham, he's a loyal butler, a shadow in the mansion on the hill, the man who simply pours the tea. But somehow, Alfred is seemingly unfazed by the weight of every loss, every failure, and every dark night that he's ever endured. Before Alfred died, he once told Master Bruce that time is a cruel teacher who punishes those who dare to master it. But Bruce took his last words as a challenge, rather than a warning. He finally indulged in his selfishness, and now that he didn't have to protect Gotham anymore, he wanted to spend some time with his parents. With his resources, it's not hard to fake documents, to find connections in the past, and to get a nice suit tailored. Stepping onto the dimly lit platform with his briefcase in hand, he typed in a date that he had seen in newspaper clippings while he was researching his family after the Court of Owls incident. Then, with a blinding flash of light, a headache that aspirin couldn't fix, and an indescribable pain in every cell of his body, he arrived on the front steps of the newest construction in Gotham, Wayne Manor. He applied to be a member of the staff on the same day that the papers announced that Martha was pregnant, and from there, he assumed the identity of one Alfred Pennyworth. Because being a veteran of the British Armed Forces and an ex-butler for the royal family is definitely a believable cover for a man with his skills. Luckily, he knew his parents wouldn't settle for anything less either. But Bruce was actually carrying out his final mission. He returned not to change fate, but to preserve it. He quickly became a loved part of the family. He knew exactly how his father liked his closet arranged. He knew his mother's favorite perfume and the records that she would listen to on Sunday mornings. And somehow he knew exactly how their son liked his eggs, over hard, and he liked his toast, unbuttered. After years of employment, he still dreaded the days leading to the night that shaped him. All he could do as their humble butler was to suggest that Martha wear her best pearls, and that Thomas not forget his polished driving gloves. He had to lose them again, but now not as his parents, but as his friends. Both times Bruce Wayne could recall weeping were on the same night. Once as a child, and now once as an old man. Alfred, he was left with a boy trembling in his arms. Amidst the ruins of his parents' death, all he could do was try to comfort the boy, because only he knew that what he truly needed in that moment of despair was the hope to keep going. Every lesson that he taught carried decades of knowledge, sharpened by pain and regret. Encouraging Bruce to follow the martial arts, to do his detective work, to build his patience and his restraint. Each skill it was measured and planted with the precision of someone who had already walked that path. Every word of counsel, every gentle correction, and every push towards courage was an echo of a life that was already lived. Yet Alfred, he couldn't make this path easy. Bruce had to stumble, he had to bleed, he had to taste grief and fear in order to survive it. And Alfred knew exactly how deep those wounds could go, because he was reminded by the scars of them under his mourning dress. Even when Bruce trained the Robins, Dick, Jason, Tim, and Damien, Alfred learned that they were rehearsals for what he would ultimately have to teach himself. Each Robin was a lesson in patience, in guidance, in navigating the fragile line between discipline and mercy. Alfred, he endured their fears, their anger, their loss, and he was learning how to mold courage without crushing hope, and he would do so in a way that he never could as Bruce. They were the blueprints to create a Batman who could stand on the edge of darkness without letting it consume him fully. And the villains. Alfred, he faced them again and again, quietly observing, quietly guiding, while carrying the memory of each confrontation that he had already lived. The Joker's laughter as he stood over Jason was echoing in his nightmares. Knowing exactly when his friend Harvey Dent's mind would fracture, or the tragedy of Dr. Victor Fries, he knew that he would never find a cure for his wife Nora's illness, because he had already seen that future. Each encounter was a reminder of the past before he hung up the cape, how he could win every battle, but still somehow lose the war of the soul. He couldn't reveal the truth of his knowledge. He couldn't show that he had once been a man in the shadows, that he had already borne the weight of Gotham's grief and corruption. He had to endure it all in silence, because Bruce's journey had to remain his own. Alfred's tragedy isn't only in what he's witnessed, but in what he's sacrificed. Every moment spent guiding Bruce, every hour spent consoling the Robins from the actions of his past self, every silent vigil against Gotham's darkness, it was stolen from him. His greatest service to Gotham was abandoning his future of peace for a past of preparation. He remains unseen, a ghost tethered to a past that he could never reclaim, and he's shaping a future that he'll never fully inhabit. He's a gentleman outside of time. And yet, through all the loss, all of the haunting weight of time, Alfred succeeds. The opulent orphan that he raises, the Robins that he gets a second chance at hugging, the villains that he endures time and time again, they all prepare him for his ultimate purpose, to perfect the man who will stand alone in the darkness, the man who will carry Gotham without losing the fragile spark of his soul. Every word, every motion, every hot meal and polished cowl is a promise that Bruce Wayne will always rise, whole, unbroken, and human, and that the bat will never fully consume him. Because of all these actions, Alfred Pennyworth is no longer merely a man. He is the living echo of sacrifice, a tragic guardian of time itself. Even in his declining health, he must ensure that the child, the man, the hero, they all remain one. And that's the reason for his cheery disposition and why it never changes. He knows the greatest inside joke of all time. One that Bruce has begged him to know since his youth. One that even the Joker couldn't guess the punchline to. That's the reason that Alfred Pennyworth can die happy. Because he knows that he's become a paradoxical inevitability. Bruce Wayne, now Alfred Pennyworth, is the only man to put the universe in checkmate to ensure the completion of his mission. And Alfred learns that truth alone, and Bruce will learn it soon enough. It's been right under his nose the entire time. It's ironic. The only man who managed to trick the world's greatest detective was himself. See, I came up with that idea a couple years ago. I just hadn't fully written it down. I just thought that there would be a really cool importance that could be given to Alfred if he was if he wasn't just a butler. You know, if he went back in time and he ensured that all of Thomas and Martha's investments went well so that he could ensure that he had the funds to be Batman. You know, if the reason that he knows how to stitch up wounds and things, it's not necessarily because he was in an infantry division and things like that. It's because he sat and watched himself essentially fix those wounds. You know, he learned from every scar that he got, every battle that he had, because he's Batman. That's how it is. He learns from everything. He's He's like Iron Man, but instead of every flaw that he finds in a suit, it's every flaw that he finds in himself, he gets rid of. It's some stupid Tibetan, meditation technique. It's always that. But what if it was because he already did it? I think that's a much better idea. And it's a grandfather paradox where it just it keeps going. It's a closed loop. I really like that. And it would show why Alfred was so paternal towards Bruce Wayne. It's because he was raising himself, not out of obligation, but because he knew exactly what he needed. He knew that being Batman is the loneliest thing ever, so he encourages him to get a Robin, or multiple Robins at that. He knows that it's because he's being Batman. If you were to go out all night, run 30 miles, destroy a Batmobile, get your ass kicked by a gigantic crocodile, you'd come home and you'd be kind of pissed off. Let's be frank. I feel like some 65 to 70-year-old British guy, he would get kind of sick of it. It doesn't really matter what the wage is. You would get tired of watching your master literally go out and almost kill himself every night. Unless you're the only person that can make sure that he doesn't, because it's you. So that was just my idea for it. A little bit different structure for a video this week. It's a little less professional. I'm not really looking at you guys, but I'm just running something by you. I'm not having a conversation. I'm just spitballing at this point. But thank you for making it to the end of this video. What do you think? Who should I talk about next when it comes to rewriting comic book characters or giving them some sort of secret twist at the end? Or if you have other ideas for videos that you want to see in the future, drop them down below. We may just talk about it. Peace.